The following video is about a woman who describes herself as someone who pays close attention to the small, unexplained things, the moments most people would brush off or walk right past. In the first clip, she's alone in her car at night, using her phone's flashlight to illuminate the dark space beneath her dashboard, when she notices something moving inside a gap in the plastic trim. Watch.
Oh my god, it's a being. Hi! Friend! Yay! You're amazing. I can't believe this is, I can't believe it. This is, but it, oh my god, I'm so grateful. That's a being. Oh my god, you guys. Look at him. Ooh, let's hide. Oh my god, this is amazing. Oh, you're coming out more. Yay. Boo! That's so cool. Oh my god, that's so cool. Shoot, I can't even see when I go around like that.
A small, pale creature, thin-bodied with a distinct head and bright eyes, peers out from the crevice, retreating and re-emerging, looking directly at the light before pulling back into the darkness again. She's not frightened at all. She calls it a being, and her voice carries a kind of genuine wonder, like she's stumbled onto something rare and intentional. Now, most viewers watching this would immediately recognize it as a gecko or small lizard that found its way into the car's interior. Not exactly uncommon in warmer climates. But what some people in her comments latched onto was the timing, the creature appearing at night in a hidden space seemingly drawn to the light. In certain folkloric traditions, lizards and small reptiles are considered liminal creatures, beings that exist on the boundary between spaces, sometimes associated with messages or signs. She doesn't seem concerned with the rational explanation. To her, the encounter felt like something more. And maybe that's what's interesting here, not the creature itself, but the way she interprets it. What would you make of it? Then, separately, she shares a second clip taken outside at night, in what looks like a wooded area, where she had noticed something strange moving through the branches. Listen closely. A single bright point of light darts erratically through the dark foliage, jerking left, right, up, and down with no clear pattern, briefly splitting into what looks like 2 points, then shifting to a crescent shape, and at one moment flashing a faint violet hue before returning to white. Skeptics would point to a laser pointer, a small insect, or even a drone light, all plausible given the low quality of the footage. But others think the movement is too frantic and too irregular for any of those explanations to fully hold. She called this one an otherworldly being doing something to the light, which is a phrase that's hard to ignore. Whether these two encounters are connected or just coincidence, if you're enjoying watching this video, like and subscribe. You decide what she actually found out there. Now, in this next clip, a man is doing what sounds like a routine property check at a cemetery. Just a walkthrough at dusk, gray skies overhead, the kind of task that's supposed to take 20 minutes and be completely uneventful. But something has already happened before he even starts filming. He's breathing hard, His voice is rattled, and he immediately starts describing what he saw moving between the monuments, something low to the ground, moving on all fours, crossing from a distant obelisk toward a closer stone near a tree. Watch.
Alright guys, so I was just finishing up my property check, and saw, I don't even know what I saw. It looked, the only way I can describe it is it looked like a person on all fours crawling from that monument straight across to that stone over there. Now, I walked around both. There was absolutely nothing there. But it literally looked like, what the? Every time I get close, it sounds like something is running. I hope the phone is picking that up. There's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing. Like, I don't know if it was an animal, but it looked like a person. I saw the head, arms, legs, but it looked like it was all four legs. And they were down low, and they were like, shoom, like they went fast. What the fuck was that? Oh, something just whizzed by my head. And I can hear movement still. Are you near me? Can you come closer?
You can hear something suddenly running at full speed through the cemetery. The sound is fast and heavy enough to suggest whatever it was wasn't simply walking between the graves. It sounds like it was moving quickly, almost charging through the area. And that's where the footage gets especially unsettling. Stories of strange creatures appearing around cemeteries often involve entities that move unusually fast or stay low to the ground, sometimes described as animal-like until they suddenly move in a way that doesn't quite match any normal animal. The man apparently couldn't see exactly what was making the sound either. So you're left with the audio, rapid footsteps tearing across the cemetery while he's standing there trying to figure out where they came from. And if what he saw really was moving on all fours, the question becomes even more uncomfortable. Was he watching an animal running between the graves, or something that shouldn't have been there at all? Now, in this next clip, a man wakes up just after 3 a.m. to the sound of footsteps moving up and down his staircase. Something he says stops the moment he gets out of bed. His smartwatch confirms the time, 3:02 in the morning. And according to him, this isn't a one-off occurrence. It's always around 3 a.m. and it's always on a Sunday. He says he lay there for a good 2 or 3 minutes listening to whatever it was pacing the hallway outside his bedroom door, walking back down the stairs, then back up again, before something seemed to sense him moving and scurried away. So he grabbed his phone and started filming, moving through a dark, cluttered house in near total silence. Watch.
Alright guys, so it's 3:02 a.m. again on a Sunday morning. I'm woken up to the sound of something walking up and down these stairs. It's going up, walking down the hall to my bedroom door, stopping at the hallway, walking back down the hallway, coming back down the stairs. Now I listened to this for a good maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then as soon as I jump out of bed, come down the hall, I hear something scurry down the stairs, and I come downstairs and it's just silence, absolute silence. I don't understand why it is always the same time. It's always around 3 a.m. every Sunday morning. So there's got to be some kind of significance to Sunday morning at 3:03 a.m. or whatever it was. There has to be some kind of significance to that. What it is, I don't know. But there has to be some kind of connection as to why I'm always woken up at the same time every Sunday morning.
According to him, both doors were locked, and whatever he heard running through the hallway never appeared on camera. There was no obvious way for the scissors to have been moved there, so how did they end up sitting open on that mat? Some viewers will immediately focus on the timing. 3 a.m. has long carried an unsettling reputation in paranormal folklore, sometimes associated with the so-called witching hour or devil's hour. Others might argue that the footsteps, the scissors, and the timing are all separate events with perfectly ordinary explanations. But then there are the whispers. Listen carefully throughout the clip, because some viewers claim there are several faint voices buried beneath the other sounds, almost as if someone is quietly speaking somewhere in the house. If those whispers are actually there, it makes the scissors feel less like a random object and more like part of whatever was happening that night. Was something simply moving around the house, or was it trying to leave him a message? This next clip was recorded by a home security system in what appears to be an empty house late at night. The timestamp reads 22:45, and not a single person is visible in either room. The owner says they only dared to share this footage a full year after moving out. Whatever happened here was enough to make them leave, and leave for good. Watch. The first camera picks up a bright rectangular reflection suddenly appearing on the glass of a tall display cabinet, and when the angle switches to a second camera, you can see why. The refrigerator door in the kitchen is standing open, its interior light flooding the floor. No one walks in. No one touches it. It simply opens on its own in a dark and empty house at nearly 11 at night. What made it move? In this next clip, a woman lying in bed watching TV heard a knocking sound somewhere in the house. She got up to investigate, moving through a hallway toward a lit room, and when she pointed her camera at the transom window above a closed door, she found something written in the dust on the inside of the glass. The word help, traced in shaky, finger-like strokes. She gasps when she sees it, and you can hear exactly why. Watch.
Ethan, what are you staring at?
Dad, you see it?
See what? What is it?
Hold on, let me wait.
Since my sister took that damn video every single night at the same time as knocking starts. Terrifying the first 2 days, but now it's just annoying the hell out of us. Yup, I hear ya. Fucking A. Nothing. Always nothing.
There's a tall figure, completely still, wearing what looks like a wide-brimmed hat. That detail matters because what's often called the Hat Man is one of the most consistently reported shadow figures in modern paranormal accounts. A tall, dark silhouette with a hat, seen in doorways and dark rooms, described by people across different countries and cultures who've never compared notes. Some researchers connect it to sleep paralysis and shared hallucination, while others argue the cross-cultural consistency of the description makes that explanation harder to accept. But that routine quality might be the most unsettling part of all. When something unexplained becomes just an annoyance, it means it's been going on long enough that the fear has worn off. And that alone should tell you something. This next clip was recorded at an Airbnb rental at nighttime, inside a bathroom that one of the two women staying there described as insane. The two of them had been messing around in the walk-in shower area, dancing and laughing completely at ease. Nothing about the mood suggested anything was wrong. Watch.
What the f are you doing? Hey. Bro, this bathroom is fucking insane. Wait, I need to go lower. Oh shit. Hey. Hold on. Ice Cube, what's wrong? Bro, we're literally in the fucking shower right now. In the shower, in like a 4
Without either woman touching the controls, the shower suddenly blasts on at full pressure, soaking them almost instantly and sending both into a fit of screaming. Skeptics could point to a faulty valve, a pressure change, or even a sensor or timer system that the guests didn't know about. And in an unfamiliar rental, that's certainly possible. But there's another detail that makes the moment more interesting. They were laughing and playing around in the exact space where the shower suddenly turned on. For paranormal believers, that can be interpreted as something reacting to their presence, almost as if whatever was believed to be in that bathroom had been there silently, watching them, and suddenly decided to make itself known. And if there really was something attached to that location, some paranormal traditions take the idea even further. They claim that an encounter doesn't always end when someone walks out of the room. The belief is that a spirit or negative presence can sometimes follow a person away from the original location, especially if the person has unknowingly drawn its attention. Of course, there's no way to establish that from this footage alone, but imagine leaving an Airbnb after something like this happens, laughing it off as a strange malfunction, only to wonder later whether whatever turned that shower on was actually left behind in that bathroom, or whether it came with you. This next clip was filmed inside a hospital room at night by a man recording a woman, possibly a family member, who's lying in bed and appears to be ill. The room is dim, the lighting low and yellowish, and the whole scene already carries that particular kind of quiet that hospital rooms have late at night. Something had apparently been happening before he started recording, because you can hear him say, "What?" while pointing the camera around the room. Watch. The vital signs monitor on its wheeled stand rolls smoothly across the floor on its own, covering about 2 feet before stopping right beside the bed, and no one is visibly touching it. What's harder to explain than the movement itself is her reaction. Calm, almost amused, as if she'd been expecting it, or perhaps had seen it happen before. Some believe what's captured here is a form of psychokinesis, energy projected unintentionally by someone in deep physical or emotional distress. Others think it points to something else entirely, something drawn to the vulnerable. What do you make of her response? The following clips were all recorded inside a French household where a woman has been living alone with her young son and their pets, and where unexplained activity has apparently been building for weeks. The phenomena don't stay in one room, they don't happen at predictable times, and according to the woman, the phenomena seem to be starting again after what she describes as a stretch of quiet. One night, the woman heard a strange sound coming from the boy's empty bedroom while the child was in the living room watching cartoons on a tablet. Even the family cat seemed to hear it. The tabby walked directly toward the dark room, calm but focused, heading somewhere with intent. Watch. Inside the unlit bedroom, a rhythmic banging could be heard coming from somewhere in the darkness, while a teddy bear appeared to move in a way that many viewers later described as unnatural. The camera lingers on the room as the sound continues, making it difficult to tell whether the movement was caused by something ordinary or something else entirely. What unsettled many people most wasn't the toy itself, but the behavior of the cat. Animals are often believed to sense things humans cannot perceive, reacting to sounds, movement, or changes in an environment long before people notice them. And in this footage, the tabby doesn't appear frightened or confused. It walks toward the room without hesitation, as if it already understands something the people behind the camera do not. Some viewers believe the footage captured a genuine paranormal moment. Others argue there may be a logical explanation hidden somewhere in the darkness of the room. But whatever caused the banging that night, one thing is certain. The reaction from the cat is what continues to leave people unsettled. Another incident happened while she was getting ready to shower late at night, and her son was already asleep in his room. She heard something in the hallway, a mechanical rolling and a rhythmic banging against the bathroom door, and when she opened it, she found this. She documented everything methodically. She found the remote control sitting on the stairs, its batteries dead for days. Her son had left it there for her to replace, meaning no one had been operating that truck, and no one in that house was awake to do it anyway. She lives alone with her child and her animals, and she plans to have the house purified, and that in itself tells you how seriously she's taking this. On another night, she woke up again, this time by her child's electronic toy drum set that had switched itself on in her son's bedroom, flashing and playing music while the child slept right through it. Take a look.
À bientôt pour un nouveau concert. À bientôt pour un nouveau concert.
As she moves through the room to shut the toy off, something small and bright moves quickly across the frame near a stack of cardboard boxes. A white orb-shaped light that travels fast and low before disappearing. Skeptics would call it dust or a lens artifact, and that's a reasonable position. Fast-moving specks caught on phone cameras at night are common enough to dismiss. But the toy turning on is the harder thing to rationalize because she says it's not the first time, and her reaction when she opens the door, "Ça recommence?" suggests a woman who's past the point of being surprised and now just exhausted by it. Some people familiar with cases like this point to what's called a poltergeist pattern, a term that comes from the German for noisy ghost, and historically describes phenomena that center around children or households under stress, characterized by objects moving, electronics activating, and escalating disturbances with no clear origin. Whether that framework fits here or not, the toys in this home do seem to have a habit of coming to life on their own. Then, the activity crossed a line. In a later clip, the woman was watching a video on a projector in the dark when she began hearing a series of sharp, unexplained taps coming from somewhere in the room she couldn't identify. Watch closely. A drawer on a small wooden table slid open on its own in front of her, smooth and silent. And then, the moment she turned her back after closing it, the door behind her slammed shut with real force. She gasped, opened the door, turned on the hallway light, and walked toward her son's room to check on him. That's when it escalated completely. A sudden thunderous barrage of heavy sounds rushed at her from down the hallway, like something charging directly toward her, and the camera fell. The footage ends with the phone on the floor pointing at the ceiling, and the only sound is her breathing, fast, shaking, and ragged. She said that days can go by in this house without anything happening, and then everything hits at once, and that she's not afraid so much as she is worn down by it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because there's a version of the story where the explanation is mundane. Faulty toy batteries, a drafty hallway, an old door latch, and a version where a single mother has been quietly sharing her home with something that's been getting louder. Now, in this next clip, a man decides to explore American cremation after hours, a facility his friend works at, someone who had already warned him that strange things tend to happen around the furnaces when they're in use. He'd gone in knowing the lights shut off automatically at a certain hour, and he walks through the dark space with only his phone's flashlight cutting through the dark, past the heavy metal retorts, past the urns sitting on tables, talking himself through it calmly enough. But then, the audio starts acting up. A wave of static and distortion bleeding into his narration, even though he claims he didn't hear any of it while he was standing there. That alone would be enough to make most people turn around. He keeps going. Watch.
Now, I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out. Fuck. Crazy.
As he holds the camera on a shelf lined with urns, the lid on a white marble patterned one lifts, twice, accompanied by a sharp metallic screeching sound that fills the room. His reaction is immediate and visceral. He swears, the camera swings toward the ceiling, and he runs. He doesn't stop until he's back in the office hallway, breathing hard, trying to gather himself. But it doesn't stop there. While he's hiding in the office, a faint, low breathy moan is caught on the recording, something he wouldn't have even known was there until he reviewed the footage later. And then, outside, standing in the parking lot with a cemetery sitting just beyond the fence line, A high-pitched female voice is captured, soft and quick, cutting through the night air. Some believe locations like this, places where the recently deceased pass through daily, carry a kind of residual energy that doesn't always leave with the body. Others think the EVPs point to something more active, something still present on the grounds. If you listen closely to that second voice especially, it's hard to explain away as ambient noise. So what exactly was in that room with him? The following clips were recorded by people living in the same quiet suburban neighborhood, a place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where residents have been noticing things that are difficult to explain away. It starts at night, on the front porch of a 2-story house. A man in a light-colored shirt steps out onto the porch, pauses, and looks around, almost as if he senses something. The porch light carves out a bright circle in the darkness, but the far left side of the porch stays deep in shadow. Pay close attention to that corner before he turns and walks back inside. Watch. Standing completely motionless on the left side of the porch, partially obscured by the railing and a pillar, is a tall, dark, human-shaped silhouette, and it doesn't move, not once. The man walks right past the area where it stands, and it just stays there, still as a statue. Some viewers think this is what's known as a shadow person, a term used broadly online to describe dark humanoid figures with no discernible features that seem to exist just outside the peripheral, present, watching, but never fully materializing. Skeptics argue it could be a cutout, a mannequin, or even a person deliberately standing still. But here's the thing. The caption attached to this footage says both the person filming and the neighbor appeared to notice something at the same time. That kind of shared experience is hard to stage. In broad daylight, his neighbor walks the place where the figure was seen in the daytime, proving it wasn't something as easily explainable as a Halloween decoration.
Okay guys, my neighbors aren't home, but as you can see, there's no Halloween decoration. So, it wasn't that.
She trails off toward the end of the clip, voice dropping just slightly, as if she herself isn't sure what conclusion to reach. Now, for context, this is the same neighborhood. Victorian homes, an old stone church next door, a block that carries the kind of age that tends to attract these kinds of stories. And she goes looking for answers. Listen closely.
Okay guys, here's your update. They are not home. Every light in the house is off. I am gonna walk over here though, just to see if there's any kind of decoration or what we could have been seeing over here. And not much. This is our driveway here, but it's just a church on the other side of here, so, and an empty parking lot, so there's no decorations. There is that fence, but you could see that in the video if I'm remembering correctly. And here's the other side, and that right there is the window I was looking out of. So I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I will talk to them as soon as I see them. I make a promise. I would like to point out though that we do live in an area surrounded by old Victorian homes, and that's an old church. Over here is another Victorian home, and our neighbor's house is actually a restored Victorian home. They basically gutted the whole thing and built it over its old bones. And then our house is a new build. And that's really all I got, friends. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. We'll figure this out together. I don't know. Maybe it's all the haunted houses around me, but I'm sure there's a logical explanation. Well, I hope there's a logical explanation.
She walks the perimeter of the unlit house at dusk, pointing out the window she'd been watching from, checking for decorations, looking for anything that could explain what she'd previously seen, and she finds nothing. No props, no staging, no easy answer. What's striking is her demeanor. She's nervous but composed, laughing slightly in that way people do when they're genuinely unsettled and try not to show it. She points out that her entire block is made up of old Victorian homes built over their original bones, with a large historic church sitting right next door, exactly the kind of environment where, according to a lot of paranormal researchers, residual energy tends to accumulate. Whether that explains a motionless shadow figure on a porch or something unidentifiable sitting in a yard in the middle of the day is another question entirely. She ends the clip saying she hopes there's a logical explanation. And honestly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what that explanation could be. Because between the figure on the porch, the object in the yard, and a neighborhood full of old houses built over older ones, the pattern here is getting harder to dismiss. The following video comes from a man whose life has seemingly become a constant battle with unexplained activity. If you've seen his previous footage, you'll know he's the same person who claims to have dealt with persistent knocking throughout his house, strange voices imitating familiar sounds, and what he believes are mimic entities attempting to get his attention. But this time, the activity didn't happen at home. It happened at his tattoo shop. Watch.
Viendo. Y sí, cierto. Usted es muy perceptiva, ¿eh? Sí, es cierto, no hay absolutamente nada. Sigue moviendo. Como si estuvieran haciendo como dedo para arriba. ¡Wow! Sí, es cierto. Sorprendente. Y como le dije, sí, está marcando bastante. Pero no estaba haciendo así, ¿verdad? ¿Y cómo se empieza a sentir? ¿Cómo se empieza a sentir la vibra? Bueno, yo al menos sí empecé a sentir una vibra medio extraña. Y por aquí tengo unas personas que se vinieron a tatuar. Bueno. Ya se dejó de mover, vean. Ahí como que tantito, pero no. Iguales.
At first, nothing seems unusual. Then, behind a curtain in the shop, something begins to move. Not the curtain itself swaying from a draft, but the distinct shape of something passing behind it. The movement is clear enough that he immediately goes to investigate. The problem is that when he pulls the curtain back, there's nothing there. For many viewers, that's unsettling enough on its own. But what makes the clip more disturbing is the possibility that whatever has been affecting his home may no longer be staying there. Some people believe that repeated paranormal activity can become attached to a person rather than a location, following them into workplaces, vehicles, and other places that should have no connection to the original disturbances. And then came the second encounter. One night, while returning home, he noticed something that stopped him cold. Watch.
No mames, güey. Sí, venimos del parque. Aquí espérenme. No mames. Voy a tratar de no ser fuerte para que ustedes lo vean. Lo puedo hacerlo bien. Ahí se estaba asomando.
Looking toward one of the windows, he sees what appears to be a child standing there, watching. The sight is particularly disturbing because his wife and children weren't even home at the time. According to him, he had intentionally sent them elsewhere while he searched for answers, wanting to keep them as far away from the activity as possible until he figured out what was happening. So, if his family wasn't there, who was standing in the window? Many paranormal enthusiasts immediately connected the figure to reports of so-called phantom children, apparitions often described as appearing around homes experiencing prolonged hauntings. Others believe something more deceptive may be at work. In folklore, mimics are often said to study the people around them, gradually learning what forms, voices, and appearances will attract the most attention. Some traditions even warn that an entity unable to gain a response through sounds may eventually attempt something visual instead. Whether that's what happened here is impossible to prove, but that's the detail viewers couldn't stop talking about, because the curtain figure at the shop and the child in the window may have occurred in completely different places. Yet, both incidents share the same unsettling implication. Whatever he's been dealing with may not be confined to the house anymore. And if that's true, then the question is no longer how to get it out of the home. It's whether it ever intended to stay there in the first place. The following video was recorded by a man who was pulling into his own driveway on what should have been an ordinary afternoon. It's bright daylight, nothing unusual, just a quiet residential property with a detached shed sitting in the yard, the kind of thing you'd walk past 100 times without a second thought. He's got his phone out, filming casually from inside his car when he glances over at the shed and notices the right-hand blue door sitting slightly open. And then something happens that changes his whole afternoon. Watch.
I'm pulling into the house, grab the phone, look at that windows wide open door. What the? No. There's some there. That is 100% a person in my shed. Yo, that's a person in my shed. That is a person in my shed. Hey, dude. Okay, that's a school. That's somebody in the shed. Yo! Hey, who was in here? 100% saw that! Yo! Hey! And I saw something on the Ring camera. I see movement. Who's up here? Hey, come on. Is somebody up here? Hey. Look, come on, man. Please. I will 100% call the police. I'm not kidding. Hey there. Yo. Come on, man. I'm calling the police. If somebody is in here, the police will be here in 5 minutes. Do you hear me? And you Hey, come on. You're done. I'm telling you. Okay. All right. Look, that's mine.
The shed door slams shut, hard, forceful, with no one visibly near it. You can hear it in his voice immediately, that split second where his brain catches up to what his eyes just saw, and he's already out of the car, running across the driveway, shouting into the shed. He's convinced there's a person in there. Nobody answers. Inside, he finds a cluttered workshop, tools scattered across the floor, and then his attention goes to a small storage closet at the back, an orange cord hanging from the ceiling swinging, a white object moving. Nothing he touched, nothing he bumped. And then, it gets worse. From the dark attic space above, a loud crash explodes out of nowhere, startling him badly enough to jerk the camera completely off frame. A light fixture on the ceiling is reportedly broken from it. He holds his ground for a moment longer, threatening to call the police, pleading for whoever's up there to just show themselves. Then a second clatter rings out and a piece of debris drops straight down from the attic opening onto the ladder below, and that's enough. He runs. What's interesting here is that, according to him, Ring camera footage from the same moment showed nothing in that attic. No person, no animal, just sound and movement with no source attached to it. So what exactly was up there? You decide. Now, in this next clip, two men are exploring what looks like an abandoned building at night. A crumbling room with pale, dirty walls and a set of old green double doors barely holding together. The man on screen had just told the person filming that he'd seen someone inside the room. That alone was enough to make him stop. He reaches out, touches a thin wire strung across the doorway, then slowly pushes one of the doors open to peer into the darkness beyond. Watch.
मैंने भी यहाँ किसी को देखा है इसमें ये क्या हो रहा है ये अपने आप कैसे हो रहा है देखते हैं मामू अंदर से कुछ यहाँ सही नहीं है मामू, नहीं हमें यहाँ रहना चाहिए, हमें चलना चाहिए यहाँ से
The moment his hand is near the door, it slams violently shut on its own, far too fast and forceful for a gentle push or a draft to explain. He recoils immediately, asking aloud how it could have happened by itself, then presses his hand to his chest, breathing hard. Sounds begin coming from behind the closed doors, and he tells the cameraman they need to leave. Some viewers think a draft or loose hinge could account for the slam, but if you watch the speed of that door, that explanation gets harder to hold on to. Others believe the building itself was giving them a warning. What do you think was behind it? This next clip was recorded inside what looks like an old cabin or shed, sometime at night, with a single light source cutting through the darkness just enough to illuminate a worn, paint-peeling wooden door. Whoever was holding the phone hadn't gone in looking for anything unusual, but something at the top of that door frame stopped them cold. Watch. What emerges from behind the wall is a dense, writhing mass of harvestmen, those thin-legged arachnids sometimes called daddy long legs, hundreds of them crawling over one another in a living, shifting carpet along the lintel. If you keep watching, one of them eventually drops down onto the door itself before disappearing back into the swarm. Some viewers think congregations like this are just natural behavior, harmless clustering in a sheltered space. Others aren't so quick to dismiss it. In several folk traditions, a sudden abundance of certain creatures inside a dwelling is read as a sign that something in that space has drawn them there. You decide what that something might be. Before we head back in, one quick thing. All of our videos are now on Spotify, so if that's where you tend to be late at night, every compilation we've made is sitting there waiting for you. Watch it however you'd rather watch it. The link's in the bio. Now, back to the video. This next clip was recorded by a static camera positioned low in the corner of a room, looking up at a window covered by closed wooden blinds. An ordinary indoor scene shot at night, inside a home that sits directly across from a cemetery. Nothing about the visual should unsettle you. That's exactly the point. What makes this footage so hard to shake isn't what you see, it's what you hear. Listen closely. Three knocks, sharp and deliberate, ring out from somewhere just beyond the frame. Then footsteps moving away across gravel, fading into the dark. Crickets fill the silence after. And then, roughly 20 seconds later, the three knocks come again. And again after that, a third time, same pattern, same rhythm, almost mechanical in its repetition. The room itself never moves. The blinds don't shift. Nothing responds. Some believe that knocking in sets of three carries a specific significance in certain spiritual traditions, a deliberate mockery or inversion of something sacred, associated with dark or uninvited presence. Others think whatever was outside was waiting to be let in. 3 times is rarely an accident. So what do you think was standing at that door? Now in this next clip, a man is inside his home late at night when something on his roof, or maybe above it entirely, starts making sounds he clearly wasn't expecting. He's holding his phone in selfie mode at first, his expression tight and worried, pressing a finger to his lips as if whatever is out there might hear him too. Then the lights dim, and he goes very still, turning his head slowly towards something just off camera. That alone sets an uneasy tone, and then it gets worse. Watch. What you hear first is his cat meowing loudly in the background, clearly agitated. Then the banging starts. Sharp, metallic crashes coming from somewhere above, loud enough to make him flinch with each impact. He scrambles through the garage, phone swinging, scanning the ceiling, before shouting and bolting out into the dark toward a shed out back. What do you think was in the shed? This next video was recorded inside an abandoned children's psychiatric hospital at night, and from the moment these two investigators step through the door, something clearly does not want them there. The man is operating a handheld camera with a flashlight attached, while the woman beside him, wearing a purple backpack and carrying what looks like investigation equipment, moves through the decayed, debris-strewn hallways alongside him. The building is already in ruin. Peeling walls, overturned furniture, shattered remnants of what the place used to be. They're sweeping the rooms, coordinating. He'll cover the right side, she'll cover the left. Quiet, methodical, cautious. Then it all changes. Watch.
Dale, dale. No sé, es que ¿dónde se escondería? Si estamos... Tú abarcas la izquierda, yo abarco la derecha. Los vidrios están empezando a reventar. Ten cuidado, ven, ponte detrás mío, que no te vayas. Sí, están que se revientan los vidrios. Ven. Ven rápido, no te pongas en los vidrios. Puta madre. No te pongas en los vidrios. Acá. Ahí. Quédate. Ven, sal. Ten cuidado. Ay. Hey, la sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tú no tienes poder aquí. ¡Basta, demonio! La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tranquila, quédate ahí, ¿ok? Dale, quédate ahí, yo voy a entrar. Quédate ahí, ¿ok? Quédate ahí, no entres. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Quién está? La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tú no tienes poder aquí, demonio. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Tú no tienes poder aquí, demonio. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. No tienes... Uy, mierda. Ay, carajo. Uy, concha. Uy, está bien. Uy, no. Uy, Dios. Oh, ay, Dios. Oh. No, me están que se revienta toda la casa. Se está reventando toda la casa. No, ven. Aléjate, fuera de los vidrios. Aléjate.
Starting with a single sharp bang and escalating into something almost impossible to process, glass pane doors begin slamming and shattering with violent force. Windows explode from across the room and then from above. Debris, wood, and metal crashing down in every direction with no visible source. The woman runs. He goes back in. You can hear him invoking the name of Christ repeatedly, shouting at whatever is in that room to stand down. And still, the destruction continues. What's striking isn't just the scale of it, but the sequence. It doesn't feel random. Each burst of shattering glass seems to move through the room deliberately, as if something is working its way around the space. Many viewers familiar with poltergeist cases point out that this kind of escalating, multi-directional destruction is one of the most documented patterns in that category. Not a single violent event, but a series of them, building in intensity. Skeptics argue structural decay in abandoned buildings can cause spontaneous glass failures, especially in temperature-shifted environments at night. But the timing here is hard to reconcile with that. If you listen to the way the crashes respond to his commands, pausing, then resuming with more force, the question isn't just what caused this, it's whether it was listening. You decide. In this next video, a man is filming his backyard late at night after noticing something he couldn't explain standing inside his wooden gazebo. He's out on the concrete patio, flashlight in hand, sweeping the yard when the beam catches something in the gazebo's direction that stops him cold. He zooms in, and what appears inside that structure is tall, pale, and vaguely humanoid, translucent almost, like something hovering between being there and not being there at all. You can hear the confusion in his voice immediately, asking out loud what it is, noting that it looks see-through. He retreats inside briefly, then makes a decision that a lot of people watching would argue against. He goes back out. Watch.
Can you see that? What the hell is that? and it kind of looks like it's see-through. Okay. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go back inside. I gotta see. It's gone. It's gone. It's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Noise, what was that noise? Oh my god. Oh my god. What the hell was that noise? It sounded like it was right behind me.
When he returns and shines the flashlight directly into the gazebo, it's empty. Whatever he'd seen moments before had simply vanished. He advances toward it anyway, stepping off the patio and onto the grass, getting close enough to confirm there's nothing inside. And then, just as he's standing near it, an aggressive guttural sound erupts from somewhere off camera. Not crickets, not the wind, something entirely different. He screams, turns, and runs. Some viewers think the figure could be a ghost or residual apparition, an energy imprint that briefly materialized before dissipating, which would explain why it vanished before he could get close. Others point to the sound and argue that whatever made it was still out there in the dark, waiting. If you listen to how he describes it afterward, it sounded like it was right behind me. That detail is hard to shake. What exactly was standing in that gazebo, and what made that sound? Now, in this next clip, a man decides to have a very direct conversation with something he believes is living in his bedroom, and what talks back has left a lot of people unsettled. He's filming at night, camera pointed toward a closed wooden door in a dimly lit blue-gray room, and he addresses whatever's on the other side with complete confidence. Watch.
Hey, I know you're a f***ing mimic. I've seen you all over TikTok and stuff like that. If you want to mimic my voice, that's fine. But if you're gonna live under here, you at least have to pay rent. You got it? No, f*** you. You.
He accuses it of being a mimic, a term used online and in paranormal communities to describe an entity that copies human voices, sounds, and sometimes appearances to deceive or disorient its target. The moment he finishes speaking, a second voice answers back. Same tone, same accent, but distorted and slightly lower, like a warped reflection. Some viewers think the voice is just a sound effect, but others point out that mimics in folklore are considered particularly dangerous precisely because you can't always tell them apart from someone you trust. What would you do if something answered back? The following video was captured inside what appears to be a covered patio or back room of a family home, where a small girl named Josephina was playing with a kitten and a plastic basket, the kind of ordinary afternoon moment you'd expect to be completely uneventful. The off-camera adult is clearly relaxed, laughing, pointing out where the kitten has wandered. Nothing about the scene feels staged or tense. Then, something shifts. Watch.
Acá está, mira, acá está. Ven. Ven para acá, José.
Without warning, the plastic basket suddenly moves. Not a slight wobble, not the kind of shift you'd expect from an uneven floor or a curious kitten brushing against it. The basket slides with enough force that it looks as though someone deliberately shoved it from the side. What immediately caught viewers' attention is the timing. Josephina isn't touching it. The kitten isn't near it. And there doesn't appear to be anyone else in the immediate area who could have caused the movement. Some viewers suggested there could be a perfectly ordinary explanation that simply isn't visible from the camera angle. Others weren't so sure. The following video was recorded inside what appears to be a commercial building at night. Dim red light washing over a long, dark hallway, the kind of place you wouldn't want to be alone in under any circumstances. The man filming has red hair, a backward black cap, and tattoos on his arm, and from the moment the video starts, he's already terrified, crouched on the floor behind a wooden support beam, camera placed flat on the polished surface, one hand repeatedly coming up to cover his mouth as he stares down the length of the hallway ahead of him. Whatever he's watching, he's been too afraid to move. Then a sound erupts from the far end of the hallway, something high-pitched, distorted, and wrong in a way that's difficult to describe, and that's when everything changes. Watch. Some viewers think he encountered a doppelganger, an entity believed in many traditions to take on the appearance of a living person, often interpreted as a dark omen or something far more threatening. What do you think was on the other side of that door? Now, in this next clip, a woman had been reviewing footage from a security camera she'd set up in her living room, and what she found on it, recorded at 11:35 p.m. on a Sunday night, stopped her cold. The camera is positioned looking toward the kitchen area, separated by a counter with a couple of bar stools in front of it, the kind of ordinary domestic setup you'd never think twice about. But as the lighting on the night vision feed starts to dim and fluctuate, something appears behind that counter. Watch.
You will see as the light dims and then brightens, and then it will dim again, and then it will brighten again. And if you look past, like towards the kitchen area, right about, let's see, one more time maybe. Right now, you'll see her. You can see her coming through. She comes, turns around, walks past towards the kitchen area again. And then you'll see an orb dip out at the end. Also, if your brightness is not turned up, make sure to turn that up or else you can miss her.
A tall, slender, semi-transparent humanoid figure materializes on the right side of the kitchen and moves slowly from right to left before disappearing behind a wall. And if you focus on how it carries itself, it doesn't move the way a person would. The woman narrating the footage refers to it as her, as if whatever this is has already been identified, already been given a presence in that home. Some viewers think it's a residual apparition, an energy that hasn't quite left, while skeptics argue it's consistent with a transparent video overlay edited over the feed. Then, just seconds later, a small dark object darts low across the floor and vanishes, something she calls an orb. Whether that's a spirit or simply a moth crossing in front of an infrared lens, I'll let you be the judge. Before we head back in, one quick thing. All of our videos are now on Spotify, so if that's where you tend to be late at night, every compilation we've made is sitting there waiting for you. Watch it however you'd rather watch it. The link's in the bio. Now, back to the video. Now, in this next video, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to something he describes as knocking, footsteps, and, most unsettling of all, something calling his name from somewhere inside his house. He's in bed, completely in the dark, and his reaction is immediate, panicked, and raw. He sweeps the camera around the room, voice dropping into a desperate whisper, reciting prayers between bursts of fear. Whatever he heard isn't captured on the recording, but what you do get is a man who is genuinely terrified, and that alone is hard to dismiss. He eventually makes his way to the porch to collect himself, and then decides to check the bathroom. Watch.
Guys, I just started hearing some knocking, footsteps, and calling my name. And it was all over the house. I just woke up in the middle of Carajo. Hey. Something just shit. Holy oh shit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh shit. Holy shit. Holy guys, I need help. I need help, guys. It's all over the house. What's going on? Hey, something is here in my house. Ow! 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 Guys, I was just attacked by something in my house. It is literally 12:14 at night, and I just got attacked in the middle of sleeping. And not only that, guys, I had to sit on the porch after being slapped in my back, so something in my left shoulder hit me and along my whole back, and it was really attacking me. And as I'm sitting on the thing, at the moment I didn't feel none, but as I'm sitting on the porch, I felt my back on fire. So I got curious and I decided to come here to the restroom, and this is what I capture. Look at my back, guys. I just got all beat up. No, I don't know. I don't know what could have done that, but it's got... Oh, shit! Oh, shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh, holy
He turns the camera toward the mirror to show his back, and the marks are right there. Several fresh, deep red scratches running across his shoulder blade, clearly visible, with no obvious explanation for how they got there. His voice breaks. He's back to praying before the video even ends. Some viewers think this is consistent with what demonologists often call attack scratches, physical marks left by a hostile entity, frequently appearing in threes, which some traditions link to a direct mockery of the Holy Trinity. Others think the injuries could have come from tossing in his sleep or self-inflicted in a panicked, half-conscious state, but that doesn't fully account for the sounds he described hearing or why they seem to be coming from every part of the house at once. So what exactly happened to him that night? This next video was recorded by a man at home with his 2 daughters. At dusk, with the interior lit by colored LED lighting and whatever natural light was still bleeding through the windows, his wife wasn't home. He tells his teenage daughter where he's going, passes through a security gate door into an adjacent room, and almost immediately sends both girls back. He's seen something. Watch. Quit.
Ahorita vengo. Mami. Vete para allá, mami. Hija, agarra a la niña. Agarra a la niña. Por favor. Voy a ver algo. Ahí espérenme afuera. Mi esposa no está y vean lo que se acaba de ver. Casi no me da tiempo de grabarlo, pero está bastante cañón.
The moment he notices something peering around the doorway, his entire demeanor changes. What appears in the footage is brief, but that's exactly what makes it unsettling. A face, just visible around the edge of the doorway, watching, then gone. Some paranormal enthusiasts compared the sighting to what are often called peeking entities, figures that appear partially concealed behind corners, doorways, stairwells, or furniture. Reports involving these apparitions frequently describe them as observers rather than active participants, revealing only enough of themselves to be noticed before withdrawing from view. What would you do if you saw something like this in your house? In this next clip, a woman with no prior history of paranormal activity set up her phone one night after hearing unexplained noises coming from deeper inside her home, and what she captured has a lot of people genuinely unsettled. She's filming herself in what appears to be her living room, her voice slightly strained, telling the camera she's not crazy, that something's been making sounds she can't account for. Her dog is already on edge. She props the phone up facing the hallway, a long gray-walled corridor leading to a closed door at the far end, and goes to wash dishes, figuring she'll let the camera run and catch whatever it is. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby is terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay. You're okay. I know. God, I'm like shaking.
What you hear first is a single loud bang from somewhere down that hallway, followed almost immediately by a prolonged series of scraping, creaking, and rattling sounds, like something is being dragged or shifted around in a room no one's in. Then the dog comes out of the dark end of the hallway on its own, ears back, moving cautiously, stopping to look behind it before it bolts. The woman herself admits she's shaking by the end of it. Animals reacting to unseen disturbances is one of the most consistent details across reported hauntings. Many believe dogs can perceive frequencies or presences that fall completely outside human range, which is why a frightened animal is often treated as more credible evidence than anything the camera alone picks up. Skeptics would argue the sounds could be structural, pipes, settling walls, something shifting in an adjoining room. But that explanation gets harder to hold on to when you watch how the dog behaves coming out of that hallway. It wasn't curious, it was scared. So what do you think it heard? Take a look at this next case. A man who was midway through what appeared to be an ordinary live stream when something outside his window made everyone in the room stop cold. The clip was recorded at night, the room bathed in a deep red ambient light, a setup that already feels unsettling before anything unusual happens. He's seated at his desk in front of a monitor and a professional microphone, and from what you can hear, his partner and their young daughter are somewhere off camera nearby, a completely normal domestic evening. What he doesn't know yet is that his own livestream audience is about to see something in his background that he can't see from where he's sitting. Watch.
Digo, afortunadamente ahorita ya está. Ay, no te pases.
¿Qué? ¿Viste? Yo lo vi. Yo lo vi en el momento.
Ah, su madre. Y enfocaron hacia la ventana.
Gordo. Se está moviendo.
¿Quién? No te pases. Mira. Espera. Ve, amor, ve. Amor.
Ah, chinga.
Ay, no mames. No mames, hija. Ve al fondo en TikTok. Ve lo que se ve en TikTok. Ay, güey.
Ah, cabrón.
¡No seas mamador!
Uy.
¡No mames!
Tranquilo. De nada, ven.
Through the sheer white curtain covering the window, a pale, mask-like face appears. A visible mouth, unmistakably humanoid, and positioned as though it's looking directly into the room. His partner sees it the same moment he does, and you can hear the panic in her voice as she tells him it's moving. The face doesn't just linger, it shifts position, tilts, and at one point appears to open its mouth, which is the moment that sends both of them over the edge. His livestream audience was already reacting before he fully understood what they were watching, and when he finally leaps out of his chair and turns toward the window, the face is gone. Some viewers think it's a mask or a prop staged for the stream, pointing to the theatrical red lighting as suspicious. Others aren't so sure. The partner's voice is too raw, the child too calm in the background for something rehearsed. What exactly was pressed against that glass, and where did it go the moment he finally turned around? In this next clip, a man sets up what he calls a mirror experiment, something suggested to him by a follower, using an octagonal gold frame mirror, a small clear glass cup, and a black marker. During the setup, he admits he's not feeling too good, which, given what he's about to ask, seems like a reasonable reaction. He writes yes on one side of the mirror, no on the other, then adds his question right in the center. Do you want to kill me? He places the glass cup between the two answers, makes a peace sign to the camera, and leaves the room. Watch.
Hello everyone, this is Jorge Cruz from Magical Portrait, guys. So, the reason I want to make this video today, I'm not feeling too good, guys, so don't mind that. The reason I want to make this video today, obviously you guys can all see what I have here in front of me, which is a mirror. Oh, God. But anyways, I was told by someone that private messaged me and said, hey Jorge, why don't you try one thing out? I want you to grab a mirror and a glass cup and do certain things. So obviously you guys all see I have a mirror, and as you guys all seen, I have also a glass cup, right? Now, I don't know if it was supposed to be any specific glass cup or whatever, but they said that the bottom's got to be like a magnifying glass, so when you look through it, you should be able to see everything, either big or small, or vice versa, small or big, right? Which obviously I can see right through it, so we're going to use that bottom as a magnifying glass, right? And then he said, grab yourself a black Sharpie and write yes, no, and then write a message, and then leave the room for the rest of the day, and you should see what's going to happen afterwards. So that is exactly why I'm here today for. All right, so obviously I'm right here yes, right, on that side, and I have no on that side. And obviously I was told to write a little message, but something that's super valuable, but you know, so they can read, and they just want to see what happens after I do this, after I leave. So we just gonna give it a try. So my message is going to be, do you want to kill me? Question mark. So I said, do you want to kill me? Obviously yes or no. All right, and then the glass, I will just set it right over here. I will definitely leave, and we'll see what happens afterwards. Fair enough? All right, y'all, so let's let it play, and deuces. Bye bye for now.
For nearly 30 seconds, nothing moves. The room is completely still, completely silent. Then the glass begins to slide on its own, slow and deliberate. No jolt, no vibration, crossing the mirror at a steady pace and coming to rest directly over the word yes. Skeptics point to hidden string or a magnet beneath the table, and the smooth, uninterrupted motion does raise that possibility. But if you watch the mirror's reflection during the slide, nothing in the frame gives it away. So what exactly answered him? The following video was recorded by a man named Isaac, who recently moved into a house that has been passed down through several generations of his family. On the surface, it seems like a typical old home, quiet, somewhat isolated, and filled with the kind of history that comes with buildings that have stood for decades. But once you learn what happened there long before Isaac arrived, the story begins to feel far more unsettling. The original owner of the house was a war veteran. After returning from combat, he reportedly struggled heavily with PTSD, and family members say there were nights when he would suddenly leave the house and hide outside, convinced he was hearing noises coming from a small shed in the backyard. He insisted something was in there, something moving and sometimes watching. Over time, his fear of that shed grew so intense that he eventually refused to go anywhere near it. Even during the daytime, he would avoid walking past it. Years later, Isaac says that same shed is the one place on the property that never feels right. From his bedroom window, he claims he has occasionally seen figures moving inside it. Other nights, he hears loud banging coming from the shed door, like something inside is trying to force its way out. One morning, while recording a video to answer questions from viewers about the house, something strange happened. Watch this.
I've been seeing all the comments, I've been seeing all the questions, and I wanted to make a video to answer those questions for you guys now. It's about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. I can't sleep. So I figured, why not, right? So on to the first question. What happened to the video? Y'all hear that, right? Like that. Y'all see that?
If you look closely at the window behind him, a white figure briefly appears, then suddenly moves out of sight. And not long after that, something else happens. The door slowly opens on its own, even though no one else is there. Moments like that made viewers even more curious about the shed itself, so many began asking Isaac to go inside and check it out. Watch this.
Okay, so you guys have been asking me to take you in the shed and leave the phone in there. And I know it's been a little while since I put out a video regarding the shed, but a lot has been happening and I just truly needed some time. So I took it. But just to show you, it is locked, okay? And I'm going to immediately, no cuts, as per usual. Okay, so we are walking into, God, these dolls are creepy. We're gonna walk in, well, not walk in, but we're in here now. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. You guys got a good view, right? Windows, everything. All right, I guess I'll catch y'all. I'm out.
While Isaac is filming, a noise suddenly comes from one of the plastic containers, a sound that almost resembles a doll shifting or trying to move inside the box. Isaac later confirmed that when he checked afterward, there was a doll that wasn't inside its box. And if you're wondering, where did all those dolls come from? It turns out the granddaughter who now owns the property has a deep love for collecting dolls. Over the years, she filled the shed with them, hoping to eventually pass the collection down to her children. But after Isaac posted that video, viewers wanted more proof of what might be happening inside the shed. So they asked him to record another clip, this time from a different angle. Watch this.
And just so you know, because somebody actually said in the video yesterday, of course it happens from behind the camera. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Solid wall. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Okay. I'm out. That wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe I should close the door softer next time. Let's go ahead and try that again. Okay? I'm gonna close it softly this time. Lord have mercy.
Isaac had already left the shed, yet something was moving inside. Some viewers believe the shed could be tied to the trauma of the veteran who once lived there, a place where fear and distress lingered long after he passed away. Others think the dolls themselves may be acting like vessels, objects capable of holding or attracting energy. Despite how uneasy it made him feel, Isaac kept receiving messages asking him to go back to the shed again, with many people claiming the activity probably only happened during the daytime. But that assumption turned out to be wrong. Watch this. This time, whatever might be inside becomes far more active. Objects begin shifting around the room and things scatter across the floor. Some viewers claim they can hear faint breathing sounds in the background, while others believe they hear a voice quietly saying, "Help," or possibly "Let me out," while another sound resembles someone saying, "Get out." Ever since Halloween, Isaac says every single night he hears sounds coming from the shed, noises that suggest something inside is moving things around. So each morning he wakes up to see this. Watch this.
This is what I come into every single day. Y'all ask me why the shed. Look at this, dolls knocked over, turned around. Baseboards moved. Not baseboards, drywall moved, bed knocked over, powder all over the floor. This is what I come into every single day. You guys ask me why is the shed cleaned every single time I walk in here? It's because every single day I wake up, I have to come in and clean it because it's a mess. This is a regular occurrence. So you guys are gonna watch my morning routine. Somebody said lay it like this so you get a wider angle. I have a clip on the back, so there's no way. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I don't. So let's maybe from here. Oh. Okay, it's about as open as a shot as I can get because I have to. Somebody said they don't have the energy to do this. Man, it's freezing out here. It's like 20-something degrees here in South Carolina, and I'm out here having to yet once again pick all this shit up. God, I'm freezing. Even the foam mattress is solid. Good God almighty. Back in the days when I used to wrestle, I used to pray for
While he's sweeping and talking about the temperature in the area, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Who's there?" Another detail also caught viewers' attention. Many people said that simply looking at that object gave them a strange, uncomfortable feeling. Several viewers even asked Isaac to investigate where it came from and why it was inside the shed in the first place. For now though, Isaac hasn't found any clear explanation, so until more details come out, that shed in the backyard remains a mystery. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man many viewers already recognize because of the strange activity that has been happening inside his home for quite some time now. Recently, people began digging deeper into his past and discovered that he used to work in a cemetery. And ever since that detail came out, some viewers have started linking the disturbances in his house to something he may have unknowingly brought back with him from that job. Whether that connection is real or not is impossible to prove, but the things happening inside his home have definitely kept people talking. One morning, Nate was simply going about his routine when he suddenly heard knocking coming from his back door. At first it sounded normal, like someone politely tapping to get his attention. Naturally, he walked over to check who might be outside, but when he got there, this happened.
So I just thought I heard somebody knocking on my back door, but I looked out there and I saw nothing, so seems like the dog heard it too. Hello? It sounds like it's coming from the back door. It's locked. There's nobody there. What the hell? I don't understand this. What the hell was that? Hello? I don't understand.
The knocking can clearly be heard, yet when Nate enters the kitchen, there's no one standing there. And if you listen carefully in the background of the clip, something else can be heard. A faint whisper that many viewers believe sounds like a woman's voice. This isn't the first time people have pointed out strange voices in Nate's recordings either. In several of his previous videos, viewers claimed to hear quiet murmurs or soft responses when Nate called out into empty rooms. Because of this, some people have started advising him to stop reacting to the activity altogether, saying that acknowledging it might only encourage whatever is causing it. But if we're being honest, that's a lot easier said than done. Imagine hearing someone knock on your door and simply ignoring it, especially when you're already dealing with things like waking up with unexplained scratches on your body, objects suddenly flying across the room, and sharp items being thrown around your home when no one else is there. At that point, curiosity and fear would probably make anyone want to check what's going on. Some viewers believe the whispers might be a form of electronic voice phenomenon, brief sounds that sometimes appear in recordings even when no one is speaking nearby. But considering everything Nate claims has been happening around him, the moment in this clip feels difficult to ignore. Whether this is connected to Nate's past work, something attached to the house itself, or something else entirely. For now, the situation remains unresolved. The following footage dates back to 2022 and was captured by a CCTV camera late at night, when the area was supposed to be completely quiet. Take a look. If you focus on the right side of the screen near the gate, you'll notice something unusual. A dark shape suddenly moves and then it disappears just as fast as it appeared. At first glance, many people suggested the most logical explanation: a camera glitch. Security cameras sometimes struggle in low light, especially when there's sudden movement, insects flying close to the lens, or changes in lighting that cause strange shadows to form. And in many cases, those explanations make perfect sense. But then, there are those who take the mystery a little further. Across many ancient cultures, there are stories suggesting that humans may not be the only beings that walk this world. Folklore from different parts of the world often speaks about shadowy figures, entities that appear briefly, moving along the edges of visibility, rarely staying long enough to be clearly seen. Some legends describe them as spirits passing between places. Others believe they could be remnants of something older, something that exists alongside us but rarely crosses fully into our world. Of course, there's no way to confirm anything like that from a single clip, but when a shape appears out of nowhere, moves like something alive, and then vanishes without a trace, it's hard not to wonder what exactly passed by. So was that a glitch, someone's shadow, or something else entirely? I'll leave that one for you to decide. Now in this next video, a man who has openly shared that he lives with severe schizophrenia decided to do something unusual. Because he often experiences things that others can't see, he started recording parts of his home at night, hoping the camera might help him figure out whether what he was seeing were hallucinations or something else entirely. One night, something strange happened and he caught it on camera. Seeing this, the man initially assumes it's just another hallucination, something his mind is creating. In the past, he developed a small trick to test whether something was real or not. Whenever he saw something unusual, he would open and close the drapes or change the lighting in the room, which usually helped make the vision disappear. So he tries the same thing again. He opens and closes the curtains, expecting the movement to stop. But this time, it doesn't. To this day, no one has been able to say with certainty what caused the movement that night. The following clip was recorded by a man named Nate, who has spent months trying to understand what's happening inside his house. His experiences didn't begin all at once. They built up slowly. First, it was the voices, faint, unclear, and easy to dismiss. Then came the scratches, thin marks appearing on his skin overnight with no explanation. And then the kitchen became the center of it all. Objects shifting, things falling, and disturbances that made it impossible for more than a few quiet days to pass. But one morning, everything felt different and too quiet until this happened.
So I'm in the middle of working out, and I hear shuffling and banging coming from the kitchen or the basement. I'm not sure which one. It was loud though, super loud. I almost dropped the weights, it was so startling. Hello? I was just in there working out. Nobody in the kitchen. Back door is locked. Nobody here, of course.
After Nate says hello, a voice responds, "You hear me?" Then when Nate says, "I don't understand," something whispers again, but whatever it says isn't fully clear. Many viewers believe the voice sounds like a child, meaning the spirit of a child might be attached to the home, especially since child spirits are often associated with scattering objects and trying to get attention. But others aren't convinced it's harmless because scratches, whispers, and intelligent responses don't always point to something innocent. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, this next clip was captured by a family's CCTV camera, and it's the exact moment the father finally stopped dismissing everything his family had been experiencing. For months, strange things had been happening inside their home. The kids would run into the room crying, saying they saw someone standing nearby. His wife would occasionally freeze mid-conversation, convinced she had just heard a voice close to her ear. But every time, he reassured them it was nothing. Stress, imagination, or the house settling. Until one evening when he was alone babysitting their youngest child while working on his computer. Watch this.
Ball! He's not catching ball with you? Yeah. Do you need somebody to play ball?
As you can see, the refrigerator door suddenly opens on its own. He immediately stands and walks toward it, clearly expecting to find someone standing there, maybe one of the kids or an explanation he could finally point to. But there's nothing. Some people believe this could be a poltergeist, a type of presence known for physically interacting with objects, opening doors, and making its presence known in subtle but deliberate ways. And now, for the first time, he's no longer trying to explain it away. He's trying to find answers. Until then, this remains unsolved. The following footage was captured by a CCTV camera in a woman's yard at around 3 a.m., an hour many people already associate with unexplained activity. At first, everything looks normal and the yard is quiet, still, and completely empty. But then, out of nowhere, something appears. Watch this carefully. After reviewing the footage, she said she couldn't convince herself it was anything normal. She insists there was no one outside that night. No neighbors, no visitors, no one who could explain what her camera captured. Moments like this raise a disturbing thought, because every night while most people are asleep, the world becomes quiet enough for other things to move unnoticed. Things that pass through empty streets, across silent yards, and disappear long before anyone ever realizes they were there. The camera simply caught what the human eye wasn't meant to see. So the question is, what exactly walked through her yard that night? You decide. This next video was recorded by a woman who works at a 911 dispatch center, a place where every call could mean the difference between life and death. And if you've ever worked late nights in a building like that, you know how quiet it gets. Because once the calls stop coming in, once the radios fall silent, there's nothing left but empty hallways, dim lights, and your own thoughts. But in her case, she wasn't alone. She had already been experiencing strange things for weeks. Phones would ring. Even though they weren't connected to any active line, drawers would slowly slide open on their own, and sometimes, in the middle of complete silence, she would hear what sounded like someone whispering her name. The scariest part? It all seemed to begin the exact day her boss mentioned relocating the dispatch center to a new building, almost as if something there had heard it and didn't want them to leave. Watch this.
So I'm at work again. Poulter's acting up as we're now referring to her. Maybe it's somebody. I don't know. Nobody should be here. There's literally no one here.
Places like this hold more than equipment and desks. They hold emotion, panic, fear, and final words. Dispatchers are often the last voice someone hears before everything changes forever, so a lot of people believe that kind of energy doesn't simply disappear, and in this case is finally revealing itself. After she posted that footage, viewers urged her to try communicating with whatever was there. Some believed it might be trying to get her attention. Others warned her never to acknowledge it, saying that recognition can make activity worse. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened.
So, y'all have been following my Poulter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy, or is that somebody standing there? I don't... Y'all see that?
The moment she notices the movement, her entire body freezes, because this time, there's no denying it. Something is there with her. Her boss eventually stepped in, promising she wouldn't have to work alone anymore, but his decision wasn't just about protecting her, it was about confirming if what she was saying was true. One night she returned, this time with someone else present, and what they captured next changed everything.
Hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. my god. No. Oh my god.
The thought that someone was in the attic or came out from the attic unsettled them. And since that night, there's been no clear explanation of what was truly inside that dispatch center, only the footage, and the disturbing possibility that some places remember every emergency that ever happened inside them. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. Built in the late 1800s, the jail once held inmates, law enforcement, and the sheriff himself under the same roof. Over time, stories began to surface. Visitors reported hearing footsteps when no one else was inside. Others claimed to hear doors moving, objects shifting, and sounds that resembled someone quietly working in empty rooms. Ian enters the building fully aware of its history, so he begins by trying to communicate with whatever might still be there. For a while, nothing responds, until this happens.
Alright, well, it's pretty quiet, so I think I'm gonna move on. Whoa, what the? Okay, Ed, I feel like you were definitely in here. What the heck was that? That was so weird. What the heck? Dude, that literally sounded like somebody was in there. What the heck? It was so quiet in there. Like nothing was happening. And then right when I walk out, that happens.
As he prepares to leave the sheriff's office, a very distinct sound breaks the silence. It sounds exactly like a coffee cup being placed down on a hard surface. Ian immediately goes back inside to check, but there's nothing there. But as he's about to leave again, this happens.
Dude, there's nothing on these tables. Nothing up there. Ed, I'm definitely not going to try to tell you what to do, being a sheriff, but man, like that was interesting. Could you do that again? It's dead silent in here again. You know what? I'm gonna try walking out again. Okay, Ed. I'm leaving for sure this time. No f***ing way, dude. Again! Again! Dude, there's weird sounds going on in there. Every time I walk out, it happens. That's twice. That can't be like a coincidence. It sounded like paper almost. Alright, Ed, I can't tell if you're like messing with me now or what. I mean, either way, it's fine. I'm enjoying this.
This time, he heard the sound of paper moving, as if someone was inside the office, the very room where paperwork would have been handled daily, reports would have been written, and cases would have been reviewed. So was that the sheriff's ghost still doing his office duties? Or something else entirely? The following footage was recorded by a restaurant security camera, and over time, people who have come across it have started to see it as a possible example of residual hauntings or what some would describe as an intelligent presence continuing a routine long after death. What led to this footage being discovered in the first place was a pattern the workers could no longer ignore, because every morning when they arrived, they kept finding kitchen items out of place, not missing, not stolen, but rearranged in ways that didn't match how the space had been left the night before. At first, it was brushed off as forgetfulness or poor closing routines, but as it kept happening, they decided to go back and review the security recordings to understand what was really going on. And this is what they found. Watch. In the footage, something that resembles a figure can be seen moving within the kitchen area with motions that resemble washing dishes. That detail is what led to the rumor that quickly spread among workers, the idea that this could be connected to a former dishwasher who had worked at the restaurant and passed away not long before all the weird activity began. While there is no confirmed evidence tying the figure directly to that individual, the nature of the movement has made that theory difficult for some people to ignore. There is a belief in paranormal discussions that when someone spends a large part of their life doing the same task, especially in environments tied to routine and repetition, that energy can linger, either as a residual imprint that replays certain actions or as something more aware that continues what it once did. The idea of being unable to move on, not out of choice but because something keeps you tied to where you once belonged, is what makes cases like this feel particularly disturbing. Because no one wants to imagine spending their life working toward rest, only to remain in the same place, repeating the same actions, unseen and unheard. For now, this one remains a mystery. This next video is about one of the most deeply rooted human fears, the moment when a place that is supposed to be safe, familiar, and entirely yours suddenly feels occupied by something you cannot explain. In this case, a man approaches his apartment one evening, expecting nothing unusual, just another routine return home. But before he even gets to the door, he looks up, and from his bedroom window, there is something staring directly at him. Watch.
I'm outside of my apartment building, and there's something watching me from my window. Hold up. I don't know who that is, but it keeps watching me, following me. Oh God. Okay. And as soon as I run back upstairs, it's gonna disappear. What do you want?
In the footage, a strange figure can be seen positioned at the window, its shape unsettling not just because it is out of place, but because of how defined it appears. Some viewers were quick to suggest that it could be a piece of clothing, maybe a shirt hanging in a way that creates the illusion of a figure. But that explanation becomes harder to accept the longer you watch because the structure doesn't quite match something limp or fabric-like. There is a form to it, and toward the end of the clip, there is a subtle movement. Some believe there is the possibility that whatever it was had been there longer than he realized, unnoticed, blending into the environment until that night. But until more details are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, an urban explorer enters an abandoned house, expecting the usual silence, decay, and stillness that comes with places long left behind, but what his camera captures instead turns the entire experience into something far more unsettling than he could have anticipated. Watch.
¿Hola? ¿Qué? Niño, ¿qué chucha fue?
Inside the house, he spots what appears to be a child moving around, casually playing with a ball, a moment that feels completely out of place in a structure that shows no signs of life, no electricity, no activity, nothing to suggest anyone has been living there. And even if you try to set the paranormal aside for a second, the situation is disturbing on its own, because the presence of a child in a deserted building immediately raises questions that don't have easy answers, like where the child is coming from, how they are surviving in an environment like that, and why they are alone in a place that looks completely abandoned. Naturally, he begins to search the area, checking rooms and spaces where the child could have gone, but there is nothing. After leaving that house, he heads to another building nearby, possibly hoping to find some explanation, maybe even the child again, or someone connected to them. But what he encounters next only deepens the mystery. Watch.
¿Alexito? No, que yo sepa nadie tiene llaves, está. Sitio está abandonado. ¿Esa silla estaba ahí? No me di cuenta de la silla, gente. No, si hemos bajado y no había ni una silla. ¡Ay, Alexito! ¡Uy, qué verga era eso! ¡Uy, mano! ¡Uy! Hermano, había una cabeza peluda. Ten cuidado. Déjalo aquí, a ver, déjalo aquí de nuevo. Déjalo ahí. Había una cabeza peluda allá, Alexito. Hola, buenas noches. Buenas noches. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Alexito, ¿aquí cuidan?
This time, a figure briefly peeks out, and although only part of it is visible, there is no mistaking that something is there. What makes this entire situation even more disturbing is the condition of the area itself, because it appears that multiple houses along that street have been abandoned, each one empty, each one silent, yet not entirely without presence. It begins to feel less like a single strange encounter and more like a pattern, as if every structure holds its own unexplained detail, something just out of sight but close enough to be noticed. And when you start to look at it that way, it becomes easier to understand why no one lives there anymore. Because even without clear answers, the atmosphere alone suggests that something about that place has driven people away. The explorer has mentioned plans to reach out to former residents, hoping to uncover what might have happened in those homes and whether there is a history that could explain what he experienced. But until then, the footage leaves behind more questions than answers. Was that really a child? Or something using the image of one to appear less threatening? And if every house on that street has something in it, then what exactly happened there? For now, it remains unsolved. This next video shows what can happen when people live with unexplained activity for so long that fear slowly turns into frustration and eventually into a decision to confront whatever is causing it. For Michael and his teenage son, that moment comes after months of disturbances inside their home, including strange noises, cold spots that seem to form without reason, and lights that flicker at the most inconvenient times. But through all of it, one place in the house always feels different: the basement. There is something about it that stands out, something that doesn't feel empty, but occupied, as if whatever has been moving through their home has chosen that space as its center point. So one evening, instead of avoiding it, they decide to go down there together. Michael prepares in the only way he knows how, slipping a pouch of blessed salt and a small crucifix into his pocket. Items often associated with spiritual protection, not because he is certain of what he will face, but because he no longer wants to feel unprepared. Then, with his son beside him, they step into the basement and lock the door behind them. Watch.
I'm gonna lock us in. It's down here. We got it. You smell that?
Oh, it smells like shit, bro.
Anything?
There's a bunch of broken glass everywhere.
Okay, you go this way too. Stay close to me. Dude, stop, stay by me. It was glass. Don't move. I know. God, you smell that. Did you fart?
But it's so cold down here, too.
It's winter time.
Oh, yeah,
stop. Alright, we're gonna make a run for it.
If it traps us, you're dying first.
It's gonna just go shit. Oh no! Oh shit! Good! Oh god! What? No! We gotta get out of here. What are we gonna do? No! Stop! Man.
You locked us in.
I gotta go.
You locked us in.
No. We make a break. There's nothing there. Stay by me. Stay right behind me. This is a bad idea. Just chill out. Oh shit! It's still there.
Why is it so?
What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
You got your phone?
No, I don't.
The noise down there was strange and deep, like growls, but what really stood out was the smell. At first, it seems almost dismissible, something unpleasant but explainable, like something spoiled or out of place. But as the seconds pass, it changes, becoming heavier, sharper, and far more intense, until it settles into something that is difficult to ignore, a sulfuric scent. If there's one thing we know, it's that paranormal investigators often say that the smell of sulfur is a sign of demonic presence, easily mistaken at first, but unmistakable once it hits. But maybe, just maybe, the strange noise and smell could be dismissed. What they saw standing still in the corner of the room is proof that whatever happened in that basement wasn't imaginary. It wasn't even residual energy. It was real, and it was demonic. The following footage was recorded inside a restaurant, but what led to its discovery didn't start with anything obviously paranormal. It began with small, frustrating inconsistencies that slowly built into something no one working there could confidently explain. Important documents would go missing, only to reappear in completely different places, and at times, staff members claimed they had seen things out of the corner of their eye, subtle movements, shadows, or the sense that someone had just walked past when no one else was around. At first, management assumed it was carelessness, people were blamed, warnings were given, and the situation was treated like a human error problem rather than anything unusual. But the complaints didn't stop, and the incidents didn't line up with anyone's shifts or responsibilities. Eventually, they decided to check the security footage, and that's when everything changed. Watch.
All over the ground, and it got my backpack wet. So I wanted to find out who did it, so I came in to check the cameras. And we're gonna go 30-second intervals. So every click's 30 seconds. Watch this area here. Craziest shit ever. What the hell? Now we're just gonna play it. Nobody's in the office. It's a notepad of paper. It just moves right out. Wait for it. What the hell? Now watch the book still. No editing, the shit's
The movements don't feel accidental, and they don't follow a pattern that could easily be explained by airflow or vibration. Some believe this could be the presence of someone who once had a connection to that space, someone who handled those same documents, worked in that same environment, and somehow remains tied to it. And then there is the more disturbing angle. If something unseen is capable of going through documents, shifting them, and leaving them in different places, then it might be looking for something. So the question is, what exactly is still working inside that restaurant after everyone has gone home? And why does it seem so interested in those papers?